afternoon. I sit here before you as a very happy cancer survivor. I know the word sometimes sounds sad and hopeless and daunting, but we need not let it stunt our lives. Oh no, not at all. After all, it's always been about how well we live the years, not how long we live the years. It is a challenge, I agree, but it's one of those challenges that awakens us to examine our lives and focus on new commitments and new spiritual awakenings. I was pretty grateful in the face of my own self-extinction 15 years ago with stage 3B breast cancer. And now I'm so blessed to have had another chance at living life with more enthusiasm and more love. I want to remind you that fear comes from the unknown. So be informed. It gives you a sense of peace when you have knowledge. Be determined and courageous. Trust and keep your faith. Know your bodies well. Once you're in tune with your body, you know how it feels when it's normal. When it's not normal, you are going to know that something is not right. To all survivors across Trinidad and Tobago and the world over, wherever you are looking at this video here today, I salute you. You have done well. God bless you. You are great. You really, really are a victor. Victorious you are. Continue to embrace the best that life can be for you. Inspire, give hope, and encourage. Before I leave, let me leave you with my mantra that I've had for the last 15 years since I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Stage 3B, yeah, in 2004. A truly happy person is one who can enjoy the scenery on any detour. Happy International Cancer Survivors Day, people. I love you guys. Stay tuned. We have a great show coming at you in less than half a minute. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here. I'm Marcia Miranda, international entertainer and media presenter. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our platform here. I'm Marcia Miranda, international entertainer and media presenter. This afternoon, it's going to be a really, really interesting, blow mind afternoon. We are paying homage to a nurse in New York on the front line, Trinidadian, all right? And yes, of course. And we're also paying homage to a gallant Trinidadian entertainer who was also stuck on that cruise liner for almost 2 months, port hopping. So we're going to hear about their experiences. They're going to share with us the ups and downs, the pros and cons, and all the emotions and everything. So everything that we heard of, we'll hear it straight from the horse's mouth. So Gisele McFarlane, thank you so very much for joining us here on this platform.
Thank you kindly, Marcia, for inviting me here. I am a Trinidadian, as you have said. I actually have lived in New York City for the past 30 years or so, and I have worked in healthcare for just about the same amount of time. But yet, I am still a Trini to the bone. To the
bone. Isn't that beautiful? And working hard out there. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about Gisele. Gisele is, well, as she said, she's a Trinity to the bone, right? Her name is Gisele McFarlane, and she's a beautiful Trinity to the bone, married to a friend of mine, you know, so we go way back and we didn't even know, right, Gisele?
There we go.
Yeah, Gisele is a registered nurse. She has a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and her area of expertise, of course, is emergency nursing. No wonder she's on the front line. She's in the ER, in the hospital. Do you care to say which hospital you're at, Gisele?
I work at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. I guess most Trinidadians and Tobagonians know of Kings County Hospital. we've had lots of visitors come in for care there. So, I mean, Kings County is known to Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the hub, apparently, of all the COVID action in that part of Brooklyn. So,
well, absolutely. New York City is, in fact, the center of the epidemic in the United States itself. And we have had of our fair share, more than our share, of COVID cases in the Brooklyn, New York area.
More than your share.
Yeah. I came into COVID actually just out from Trinidad and Tobago in early March.
Oh,
just
wow.
Vacation, of course, Carnival. And this is what was presented to me upon my returning to work in early March. They
Gisele,
welcome.
sorry. When we chatted about doing this interview, I have to mention this because you so humbly shared that when I said, girl, this thing that you all are doing, you already have big hearts. And you said, you know, Marcia, the work that I do, myself and my colleagues, this is exactly what we were prepared for. You know, you said it was like tailor-made for you. This is your defining moment as a nurse. But
well, I guess no one is ever prepared for a pandemic of the sorts of COVID. However, in terms of nursing being a caring profession and taking the Florence Nightingale pledge, this is what we are about: caring for humanity, offering nurturing and healing. Nursing is a healing and a caring profession. And this is what was presented to us, COVID, and we had no other option but come face to face and do what we do to the best of our ability.
And that's what we want to talk about right now, Gisele. I know that you're in the ER, okay? If you don't mind sharing with us some of the experiences from your perspective of being on the front line since you got back there at Kings County in March.
Sure. Well, getting back, of course, I did not know. I mean, I left New York. There was just a little bit of humming about COVID and COVID, you know, eventually infiltrating our system. But hearing about it at that time was nothing like what I came into. My head nurse, etc., they briefed me as to what was required of us as nurses, what to expect for patients coming in, how to don, which is put on, and doff the personal protective equipment, and just screen patients coming in for care. They came in from the front, which is our walk-in emergency entrance, and they came in via ambulance. And initially it was, you know, in drips and dribbles. And then all hell, as it were, broke loose. People were coming in hordes, you know, calling on the phone, talking about symptoms that they were experiencing. We actually had people coming in with fevers of more than 104 degrees for a few days. People had heart rates in the 130s. They were hypoxic, meaning their oxygen levels were very low. Sometimes you wondered how they sustained life with such oxygen levels. And so they came in all over our rooms that we use for isolation, because as you know, with COVID cases, we have to isolate. They were just about full. So we had patients lined up in the hallways on gurneys, requiring oxygen, having to go in search of oxygen tanks because we were running out of oxygen tanks to supply them with the supplemental oxygen that they needed to sustain their lives. Eventually, we started to hear a lot of distress codes from all over the emergency room and the hospital setting, patients requiring immediate attention, whether it was to be placed on ventilators, or who are experiencing cardiac arrest, because this COVID, it attacks you at every single organ system. Our staff was limited because we could never be prepared for what was happening. We never had enough equipment, whether it was personal protective equipment or other types of equipment, whether it was ventilators, oxygen tanks, even staff was at a limit. Doctors, nurses, nursing assistants, respiratory therapists, we just did not have enough. And it came to a point where oftentimes we had to, doctors as well as we nurses and other healthcare, we had to choose patients who we thought would be able to be more sustainable as opposed to people who were higher risk, who were not doing well. There was so many people all over that you had to say, well, this one had a better likelihood of surviving than the other. Let's work on this one. These are things that you never, never want to do. You had families calling or coming to the entrance. Of course, we did not allow visitors anymore, wondering what was wrong with their family members, their loved ones, wanting to get just an update as to what was happening. They dropped them off at the entrance. They saw them. They said goodbyes, their faces, the total anxiety in their faces, etc., that we had to face with. And then to come out to them, sometimes even the same night, to tell them they didn't, they just, people that were speaking to us, we were holding their hands, there with them talking, and then all of a sudden, they just took a turn for the worse. This is what we were faced with for several weeks in March and early April. And then fortunately, we started to get help. I mean, the federal government started to be mindful of what was going on with us. They started to provide us with additional staff, additional ventilators, oxygen tanks. It started to come in. So we were more or less able to manage things, but still death and dying was evident and was all over. And then after this happening to the patients, it was us that it was happening to. We nurses, as you refer to us as frontliners, nurses and doctors, we were coming in for care, for the same care. We were testing, a lot of us had tested positive, and then became symptomatic. Same heart rates in the 130s, 140s, hypoxic, really febrile, having to be hospitalized. Some fortunately made it, and some didn't. My dear head nurse, she was one of them, frontline of the first day of COVID. She was there with us. She fought hand in hand with us, and she succumbed to COVID. The emergency room is not the same anymore, because it could have been me, it could have been another one of my colleagues, just about any one of us. Who knows how this COVID attacked? How did it choose her as opposed to me or anybody else? We just don't know. Doctors, pulmonologists, a leading doctor in our institution who spearheaded the whole COVID task force, he succumbed to it. I mean, this guy was the guru, so to say, of how to deal with COVID, and he died. We were just hearing about a lot of our colleagues just falling, whether it was a housekeeping staff, other nurses, respiratory therapists, clerical staff. People were just falling and dying from COVID. This is real. I've experienced it day in, day out. I mean, of course, it has plateaued somewhat at this point, but the memory is just very vivid. The stresses that we have dealt with on a daily basis, the anxiety, the depression, the insomnia that just filled us throughout the entire emergency room. I mean, it's just tremendous. And the tremendous loss that we have felt, loss of lives of patients and staff members.
Friends and colleagues.
Absolutely.
I feel the pain. I feel the pain in your voice, Gisele. I just wanted to ask you this, if you don't mind me intervening for a minute. hearing all that you're saying, all that you all have been through. You were clearly out of your comfort zone. You were pushing yourself. You were self-sacrificing. What made you show up over and over and over? What was it?
I think my colleagues, we have a very strong, close-knit bunch of co-workers there in the emergency room. And sometimes you say, I remember one of my colleagues saying, I didn't want to come to work today, but I know I needed to be there for you and for the other person and for myself too. Also too, my faith knowing that I can do all things through Christ. This is what made me come. My family members who would call on a daily basis, giving me words of encouragement. I have a very close-knit family, the Roaches, the Browns, the McFarlanes. They were there.
Browns are your family too?
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
Yes.
You have some strong family members. Yep,
so
you do.
This is what my memories of Carnival and everything that it was. This is what
everything kept you going.
This is what pushed me, the support from the community. We have people coming in on a daily basis, offering us meals, giving us personal protective equipment, telling us thank you. People passing through the hospital itself, the driveways, blowing their horns, saluting us, telling us that we appreciate this. This is what kept us. This is what pushed us. This is what motivated us as a group. And we are there for each other, and we lean on each other, and we embrace each other. And this is what really steered us on and continues to do so on a daily basis. We've become stronger, more united, just about nothing could break us now as a unit at this time. We have lost, we have recovered, and we will continue. We will continue.
You've been doing great. I'm being brought to tears because this is really, really, everything that you've said has touched me. Touched your faith, your family. My paws are raising, and I'm thinking about your family. Knowing, everybody else is being self-isolating and putting on a mask and staying at home, and they know that you have to be right there in front of this virus.
Absolutely.
How have they, expressed? I'm quite sure there's been some fear in your family, lots of it.
To be honest, I haven't shared with them, at least some of them, what I'm sharing in depth of this time, because some can handle more than the others. But nonetheless, it's very evident on the TV. It's all over the TV. Somehow they glue into CNN, and any hospital that they say looks like mine, or any from this look like Gisele, this look like them. So, they are fully aware of what is going on a daily basis. I guess Trinidadians tune into CNN and stuff more so than local TV, and they know what's going on, kind of thing. So
it does scare us, because we know that there are lots of Trinidadians there. So you're right. We're just looking, who is this person, who's our person, and then we hear, of Trinidadians themselves who are passing away, so it really...
This is it. And then my hospital is representative of the community. We are Black and brown and immigrant community, West Indians from all over. And this is why it is just on a personal level also, because the people we care for are people just like us, people who could be friends of ours, a friend of a friend, People would call in and say things like, such and such a person, family member is there. Can you just check in on them? And there we are presenting ourselves to these patients. We're all covered up, gowned up. They don't know what we look like. They're just seeing basically our eyes. There's no smile. You can't touch, or our touch is gloved hands. And that personal one-on-one touch that you require when you're sick, whether it's from your family coming in and praying with you or visiting or touching you. It was just so absent. So that, you know, at the end of the day, to be able to do that or just sit with someone at the bedside and tell them it's okay, just to give them a word of encouragement. Sometimes just pull out my phone and do a WhatsApp call, a WhatsApp video call with them to see their families, to see their loved ones could be so encouraging. I mean, it's just such a lonely illness. You know, you're there alone in a hospital bed and everybody's masked and gloved up, and you just don't know the warmth of a human touch, the smile, etc. You can't see smiles because you're all masked up, you know, and these gowns, they're just burdensome. The personal protective equipment that we wear, it's tiring, it's fatiguing, you sweat a lot. It just drains you of all your energy. But at the end of the day, like I said, you come home, you strip, you leave your clothes at the door, you take your shower, you lie in bed, you toss, how could I have done it differently? What could have happened? What should have happened? You wonder, you stay up, you sleepless, so to say, but you leave everything into God's hands, and you ask God to give you the strength to continue doing this another night.
I'm so happy for you that you have such a strong faith, because I cannot imagine having to bear this without that faith.
You have to have something. I've had to have something to lean on me, to lean on, to steer me through this crisis. And thank God, it has thus far, I've held very well. Up to now, I'm COVID negative. I don't know how I continue to be COVID negative, because like I say, those of us who test and we are negative, we say, I don't know what it is, what differentiates me from the other person, because we eat together, we rest together, we speak together, we are each other's support systems. And, you know, by the grace of God or whatever, I have been made negative. Yeah.
But you know, what really moves me is the fact that, you know, you're talking about these people being alone there, because I know this is what everybody fears, you know, getting COVID. And, you know, when you say goodbye to your family members by the hospital doors or gates or whatever, you don't know if you'll ever see that person again. And that fear, because like my mom is 92 and she says, you know, I brought it to stay with me because I am really, really serious about it. You know, I don't make joke with all the rules and everything from CDC. And she says, Marcia, I don't want to get this thing because I don't want to die alone. And I know that's it. And that's what you all are doing. You all are being there for the family. I mean, you're on your own. You take it upon yourself, that caring, that kindness, you know, to do a call, a WhatsApp call so the family could chat. Oh, you all are so wonderful. You know, thank God for you all. You know, I mean, like, I don't know what the world could do to thank you all. But I want to ask you just one more question, because I want to keep you back too much anymore, because I know that you have to go back to work again, you know. But I want to ask you, Gisele, you know, personally, what have you learned from all of this? You know, with regards to your personal growth as well as your professional growth.
Okay. Well, for me, take each day, take your day by day, and live each day like we say, like it's your last. Treat people with love, with kindness and respect, because tomorrow or the next minute is not promised. It's not, I mean, all of these things might sound cliched, but in actuality, I have lived this. It's not promised to anybody. You know, put your stuff in order, you know, relationships, whatever, finances, whatever you have, put it in order. It is not promised to nobody. This, you know, it's life is a God-given gift, and you have to cherish it and respect it and each other.
Yeah. Well, Gisele, I really want to thank you for taking this time off to share with us here in Trinidad and Tobago and here on my platform. You've moved us. We are grateful for what you have done today, and grateful for what you're doing there in the hospital. We're grateful to you and your colleagues, and I don't know how else we could say thank you for all the wonderful work that you've been doing out there in hospital. As a human being, we want to thank you. Trinidad and Tobago wants to send you all the love and blessings that we could send to make it easier. And
I love them back, Trinidad and Tobago. I love you back, and I want you all to stay safe. This COVID is real, for real. Continue practicing whatever precautions that the health professionals are saying, the social distancing, the 6 feet apart, all of these things are real and important. Wearing your mask, without a doubt, it helps. And I don't want to have to care for any more COVID patients, so we have to adhere to these whatever practices that have to be implemented and adhered to.
And are you saying from your heart and your perspective, it's the only way we could go forward by doing this social distancing thing and doing what we need?
No vaccine in place. There's nothing is going to be available any sooner on the horizon. So all we could do is at this time is to practice the safety measures that the CDC, the World Health Organization, has recommended for us.
Well, thank you very much, because I realize that your friends are trying to get you. So let me let everybody have their time with you again. Thank you very much, Gisele.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Take care of yourself. And when you see my friend Wendy McNeil, please give her my love as well, and tell her to take care of herself, right? And tell her we feel the same way about her. Alrighty? Gisele, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you and talking to you, and I wish you all the best with your show. I hope Mom gets well soon. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The pleasure is ours. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye.
I am so thrilled for this second part of our interview this afternoon, because I am going to be interviewing a fellow entertainer, a colleague of mine, who has been one of those people going around the world entertaining people, leaving here every year in the hope of making people smile and be happy, and representing Trinidad and Tobago's culture. May I welcome Sterling Howell to our interview. Sterling, good afternoon. Welcome home. How are you doing?
Marcia. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm great, and you look great. You look absolutely wonderful.
No, I ain't looking so great, girl. I need a barber right now. I'm a mess right now, but...
No, everybody looking like that. It's okay. It's the new norm. It's the new norm. So don't worry. You know, that's okay. So, Sterling, you have been performing on the Caribbean Princess. When did you start? This is not your first time on the Caribbean Princess. You've been doing this for how many years?
I've probably been doing cruise ships more than 16 years.
Wow, you're the cruise ship king. You have to set me up. Yeah, you're out with a band, are you, or are you a
Yes,
solo?
I am. I'm the band leader of my band. The name of the band is Excite the band. It's a band. Excuse me?
What's the name of the band?
The name of the band is Excite the band. Excite. We are a 5-piece band. We have myself on vocals, also band leader. We have Esther Dyer on vocals, female vocals. We have Sheldon George on bass. We have Andy Edwards on drums, and we have Rodney Harris on keyboards.
Oh, great, wonderful. And you all have been doing this together for all these years, most of you?
Well, me and Sheldon, we have been together probably about 13 years playing music together. That's the bass player. Esther, this is Esther's 4th year in the band. This is Andy's 1st year, the drummer. This is his 1st year in the band. What a first contract for him to have, dealing with all of this.
Right, that's okay. That's
and Rodney,
a good baptism of fire, you call that.
yeah. You get baptized by fire. That's what we just call it. Baptized by fire.
Yeah, but you know, it's good. Are you all together there? You're still in quarantine, right?
Yeah, we're still in quarantine. Everybody in their own quarters. So I'm in my own personal quarters right now. Everyone is basically isolated in their own rooms.
Oh, okay, good, good, good. So you've been out there this year. You went out when?
I left from Trinidad probably on the 16th of January to join the ship on the 17th. Our contract started on the 17th of January. It was due to finish on the 18th of April. Around the 13th, 14th of March was when the whole madness started with COVID-19, and that is when everything fell down, you know, basically.
Right. Now there were thousands of you out there from several companies. How did they do it? I mean, to get you all to try to get back. And then I also knew that, or we heard that there were certain restrictions that were the reasons why you were unable to get it, that caused the delay for you all to get back into your ports. So
yeah, well, what happened was yeah, well, the CDC basically made certain demands with all the cruise lines, probably that they couldn't keep, and all cruise lines decided to put together the repatriation and getting home everyone. So what our company did, they put all the Europeans on one vessel. They put all the Indians, all the Filipinos, all the South Africans on one vessel, all the Americans and Canadians on one vessel, and they put all the Caribbean and South Americans on one vessel, which was the Caribbean Princess that we came home with. And that's how we begun the repatriation and coming home.
So, but I know we had heard that a lot of the other crew members were being able to get into their countries, and for some reason, you, the Trinidadians, were not able to get in. Did you feel as though nobody cared? I don't know.
Well, at some point in time, all of us were feeling as though, you know, our country doesn't love us anymore. We were feeling as though we just was feeling like if it is, the country was turning their back to us, and it was not a good feeling to know that everyone is accepting their nationals and our country is not responding to us. They are not saying anything to us. They are not saying, well, guys, we'll bring you home soon. You know, we had dates on our calendars to get to Trinidad, and, you know, it just keeps changing because they were saying the borders were closed. Now, I want to say something too. You know, some people back home were saying that, you know, what make the crew members so special, or why they feel that they're entitled to come home, because a lot of people were stuck in different parts of the world who wanted to come home as well. And we understood that. If we were in that same position, we understood that wherever we were at, we had to stay, but that wasn't the position we were in. The position we were in is that the cruise ship was responsible for thousands of crew members, for thousands of nationals from all over the world. And they were basically trying to get all these people home. And, you know, it was a humanitarian event that was going on. And for us as Trinidadians, when we saw all the Caribbean islands accepting their nationals, and, you know, we are not getting a positive response from our country, it was very depressing.
Yes, I could well imagine, and I'm truly sorry about that. But I know our government was being absolutely strict, and I mean, I have followed some of the conferences, and my heart went out to people like you guys out there, you know, thinking, but we want to come home, we want to be safe like you all too, you know.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, were you all tested and tested negative and everything?
Well, what happened on our ship? Now, first to begin, there was, within the whole cruise ship industry, there's only 5% of ships that was tested positive for COVID-19. Most of the ships all of the ships that was put together into the repatriation, none of them had COVID-19 before or after. So they were called what you call a green ship, meaning green level, free of COVID-19. But we still had to go through the process of being isolated we still had to go through the process of being quarantined in our rooms and that kind of stuff. So what we are going through here right now, being home quarantine, we went through this already on different ships. Okay,
all right, I hear you. During your isolation situation there on the ship, what were some of the things that happened? Because I could well imagine that, as you know, I mean, with a virus like this and hearing about how deadly it is and that sort of thing, how were people feeling? What incidents may have occurred, you know, on the ship? How did you support each other?
When the virus came, first to begin, I just want to say when the virus came out, there was, in our whole company, there's only 6 of us on board that were from Trinidad and Tobago. And basically, we weren't even thinking about ourselves. We were thinking about our family members, thinking that, you know, if there were ever outbreak, that we don't want to come back home. We would want to stay here and make sure everything is all right, because we were thinking about our friends, our families, and the country. And when things got better, I think basically the effect that it had on other crew members as well. We had 5 suicides from different cruise lines. We had one on our cruise line, but there were 5 suicidals, and there were also a couple of attempts that probably didn't make the news. But I think the whole thing with the virus, it really affected a lot of people in many different ways. I can't say why some of them killed themselves, but it affected a lot of people in many different ways, because when everything happened, a lot of us, our contracts had to be terminated. Some of us probably were worried about what's going to happen for the future, if cruise ships, if the cruise industry is going to be alive after this. You know, if you're the breadwinner for your home and you know, your family's home waiting with all this pandemic, and you were the breadwinner, how it is you're feeding your family and you can't do it right now and you're so far away, and then you want to come home and then the borders are closed and your country not taking you in. So it was a lot of mental stress going on with a lot of people. So I think
that was probably, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say in particular which one, but there was a lot of stuff going through, because for me, I was mentally stressed out with a lot of stuff.
I could well imagine, and let me just say, you know, may God rest the souls of those people who, you know, just couldn't hold up with all the stress going on, especially when you feel like, you know, when is the end? Is there an end? You know, and what's going to happen, and all the other things that you just highlighted there, you know, and I hope that their families are able to find comfort and strength moving forward. But,
the sad thing is that they just wasn't strong enough mentally.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, which is you know, which is why we need to be spiritually grounded and hold on to something bigger than us.
That's right.
But I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying that, you know, that's what we learn, you know, to hold us up. But you know, let me ask you, and perhaps you could talk on behalf of your band members as well, because I can really imagine, as you said, you're a family, you know, did you feel vulnerable, you know, or at imminent risk of death at any time? Because this is a pandemic, this is a deadly virus. How did you feel?
I didn't feel at risk because we were, well, for the virus, I didn't feel scared about the virus because basically the ship was off the coast of Bahamas. For most of the days, we weren't really in port. We weren't really in connection with the world. We were away from the world. So there was no one coming on or going off the vessel. So I wasn't worried about us getting in contact with the virus. But I think, as I said before, the whole mental stress of how the governments were dealing, the various governments around the world were dealing with some crew members. I think that's what's been stressful for some people. I mean, like for us, we miss not coming home.
I can well imagine.
because we were supposed to go Mexico at 5 o'clock the next day. And it was the Friday evening. I remember the Friday evening, I did a couple of media interviews, a couple of radio interviews, a couple stuff on the papers and stuff. I did a live on Facebook. So we were basically trying to reach out to the government in any way we could have. And I remember being in my cabin, and that was a Friday, and Saturday morning, 5 o'clock, we were supposed to leave to go to Mexico. And I remember lying down on my bed saying, boy, like, there's a dear boy, like, we're not going back home. And then my phone just started pinging, people calling. Still not coming home. So I was like, what are they talking about? And then I saw the press release from the Minister of National Security stating that they would be taking home all crew members. So a lot of people were tagging me on Facebook with it. So I just reposted it and I said, well, I hope this is true. And if it's true, I hope they take us home soon. The frightening situation we were in is that was Friday evening. And then Saturday morning, 5 o'clock, the ship leaving Barbados to head to Mexico. So while we were there, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, we got a phone call from actually it was an announcement from the captain saying for all of us to come down to the HR's office. And when we went down to the HR office, HR basically read the email from the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister's office saying that they're taking us home, and basically the requirements that they wanted our daily temperature checks, which we were doing twice a day, daily on the ship. And they wanted all of that and all our information. But we were still a little frightened because even though the country said they're taking us, we know that the ship is due to leave 5 o'clock the next morning.
You're hoping they will make a decision in time.
Yeah, so all of us, so we were with each other now like, boy, what's going to happen, boy? The office might be closed. So, this might not happen until tomorrow. So what if the ship got turned wrong if they tell them when they're going? So we started questioning and, amongst ourselves, like, what position we really in here, boy? And this happened around, well, as I said, the meeting probably started around 4 something. And after we went to the HR office and we gave them our personal information, so just confirming the personal information. Around 6 o'clock, a little after 6, I got a phone call from in the cabin. HR called me and said, Sterling, you guys are going home tomorrow. Could you pass on a message? And I said, yes. Yeah.
I can well imagine the ecstasy.
Yeah, I did a live on Facebook and I was so emotional. I started crying because it was a fight.
Yeah.
It was a fight.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm so happy for you guys. But you said, Sterling, there were no confirmed positive cases on your ship at all. No.
None. We had none from before
no
and none after.
No passengers that you know of and no crew members.
None.
That's good.
None.
So you all were practically safe. I want to ask you something. Do you think when news of the gravity of this pandemic started, which would have been sometime in March, I think early March. We just got away from the carnival because it actually started in 2019, right?
Yeah.
When gravity of it hit the world and people started understanding it. Do you think that your ship, implemented social distancing guidelines seriously, and do you think that your passengers and your fellow crew members, were serious about the threat of this virus?
Well, when everything was going on, I think the whole world underestimated the whole situation with COVID-19 because 2020, so far, Trinidad Tobago was the only Caribbean country that had their carnival. Everybody else canceled.
That's right. So, we were really lucky.
So that by itself should tell you that no one was predicting that this would have been the situation that we are in today. So I don't think the ships were predicting that this is the situation they all would have been in likewise. You know, a lot of people were saying that, you know, we knew that this virus was out there and we still went out there to work, lead them there. You know, they should jump off the ship. And we are honest, hard-working people. We are not, we didn't come out at a party. We are not home. We are not trying to distress anybody home. We are not home trying to take anybody's stuff from them. We are not robbers. We are not drug dealers. We are hard-working, honest Trinidadians, and we came out here to make sure that we share about our families. So people would question all kind of stuff. Are they paying taxes and what are they doing there and why they didn't stay home and all that about this. And it was just kind of hurtful because I understand people probably were scared, but none of us could have really predicted what was going to happen. And I think as things went along, everything was just being handled day by day. It wasn't like a plan. It was day by day. Everything was being handled. And the companies did it. I mean, I have to give credit to the government that they did a great job in locking down everything and making sure that our country is one of the highest rated countries in the world where the virus was low. We had a low death toll. We had a low percentage of people with the virus. So we were very happy with how the country was, I mean, the government was dealing with everything.
Handled it, yeah.
But to say that to say the company or anybody was seeing what was going to happen, I can't say that because I myself, I didn't even know that this was going to get to be this serious.
Yeah, but with regards to the naysayers and the negative people, I just want to share one thing with you. You just continue to be tough and do what you do because the universe will always continue to dispatch angels who will tell the enemy when to back off. So you don't worry about that.
Well,
all right?
I will tell you one thing in life. In order to be successful, you cannot be successful in life if it is you don't want people to talk about you or speak bad things about you. And when I decided to make a stand and go on social media and basically fight for the crew members and ourselves and for our rights to come home being Trinidadians, there were a lot of negative comments, and I didn't pay those negative comments any mind. I focused on the positive. I focused on the most high. Excuse me?
Yeah, the positive ones.
Yeah, focus on the positive ones, and that is what I was dwelling on. I couldn't get myself into any arguments on Facebook, arguing with somebody with some nonsensical arguments. So I was just basically focused on what is I need to bring to the table, the facts, and that's what I was bringing. If every other Caribbean island is bringing home their people, and none of these crew members have COVID-19, what is the problem? Why it is we can't come home? You know, it wasn't like us being special or entitled.
Or feeling like spoiled children.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. It was just the fact that the companies and our companies were trying to bring us home. And they would, it's like, and I told my mom this, I say, it's like you send the kids out to play. And an incident happened outside. And the police rescues these kids. And they're going house to house. All of us are in this van, and they're going house to house, and they're seeing everybody, family outside, waiting to welcome them home because they understood something happened. And our country, who is our parents, the country who's supposed to be having our back, who was supposed to be defending us, they were basically turning their back to us. So that alone was feeling crazy, you know. So picture a child being out in the wilderness, and he's seeing all his friends going home, his mom and dad embracing him. When you reach in front of your door, your parents are not even in front of the gate. They're telling the police, Ole, go ahead, we can't take him yet. We ain't ready for him. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Shirlene, if that's the way you and your band members felt, that's a very poignant analogy that you just shared there with us. And I am so sorry that you all had to go through that. But I'm so very happy that you're now safe and at home. So I want to ask you just two more questions before we wrap up. What's next? Are you well? We don't know when the cruise ship business is going to start up again. So how do you all feel? Well, I guess you have to. Are you confident that everything is going to be okay until then? Are they telling you that your jobs are safe when things are okay? Or?
Well, the reputation our band has and the work that we have put in over the years, you know, speaking to my agent and a couple of our bosses, they basically told us as soon as things get back, they would bring us out as soon as possible. Right. Obviously, when cruise ships start back, they wouldn't start with all ships. They probably would start about 3-4 ships. So whenever is that, whatever that time reaches, we would be summoned to come back out. But this whole thing that we went through was very humbling. And for me, I'm just grateful for being home right now. And I believe in the Most High, and God is the main reason that we are here, because all those voice notes, all those media events, all those Facebook lives, the nation shared videos. I had a video that was on Fox News. I never contacted anybody from Fox News, but based on the video, they just probably decided to use my video. And as I tell one of my friends, the voice of the nation is the voice of God. And the voice of the nation started erupting and saying, bring home with people. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't about who was red or who was yellow. It was about humanitarian. It was about being a Trinidadian. It was about being a national of Trinidad and Tobago. When we performing, we wear our country flag on our shirt. We wear the coat of arms on our shirt. So we are not just musicians on a cruise ship. We are ambassadors.
Ambassadors, yeah.
We are the ambassadors that probably people don't know about. But we have been to places in this world, Australia, Russia, Germany, carrying that flag. And a lot of people probably don't know us, but based on what happened now, they know us now. But it just took a lot, and the Most High Lord Father, he was guiding me. I would always pray before I did any interviews, because I wanted to make sure I said the right things. I would say, Lord Father, don't make me come across too hard-headed or stubborn or arrogant, because the amount of hurt and pain that you're feeling, you don't want to come across too stubborn or ignorant, as we say in Trinidad.
As we say in Trinidad.
I didn't want to come across too arrogant. I just wanted to be calm, collective, and give the facts of what was going on, and was just basically pleading for us to come home.
Well, Sterling, you have certainly opened your heart out to us here on this platform, and I want to thank you for that. I want to ask God's blessings on you and your family and the rest of your crew members, your band members, and their families as well. I want to thank you for flying the flag of Trinidad high everywhere you go. I know you're a great performer. Esther, everyone else who spoke now there, I know you all have been doing a fantastic job. So I'm not worried for you all at all. I just hope that this virus gets out of, just God could just eradicate it so we can go forward. Yes. But, people need to learn the lesson of things like this as well. And certainly you have learned your lessons. And more importantly, the fact that God is in charge, and until we learn that lesson, things like this will continue happening to us, So, listen, I wish you the best. Be very safe out there. How long do you all have again in quarantine?
Hopefully we have just a week again in quarantine. And, we spend over 70-something days on sea, isolated. So being here for 14 days is okay.
You're home.
But just being able to look outside and see some houses from which part I could see houses, just the roof of the house, seeing trees, it's just a magical feeling being here, and then with the band members, you know, we would probably sit down together and have our little chit chats and laugh with one another. But as I said before, this whole experience was just about being humble. And the Bible speaks about being humble. It says any man who humbles himself will be exalted. And any man who exalts himself will be humbled. You know, so for us, I think it was just a humbling situation for us. And I am grateful that the funny thing that it just came at the end. It didn't happen 2 days, 3 days. It happened just the day before we leave to go Mexico. God is really coming he's just coming the right time.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you that you got a wonderful lesson out of it, which is humility. That's a beautiful lesson to have gotten. And I am happy for you that in a week's time or so, that you will be able to be with your family and you will all just hold and hug and rock and
yes,
be happy together. I can't wait for that to happen for you.
And drink alcohol soup.
Yes. So, you know, keep smiling and keep being grateful. And thank you so much, Sterling Howell, for sharing this time with us here on Marcia Miranda, international entertainer and media presenter. It has been it really has been an honor for me and a privilege to have you share this with us. God bless you. May God continue to bless you and all the best. And I hope you get back out in those seas again and continue to excite people and make them happy and rock Trinidad music. All right.
Of course, we ready. And you know what? And I think when we go back out, I think it's going to be even. I think things is going to be even bigger because I think even passengers are so excited to come out, and with this is going to be so amazing when we reach back out there. Trust me.
Well, all the best to you. You know, I really pray that God gives you all your wishes and they are going to be pleasant going forward. And take care of yourselves. All righty. Thank you so very much for sharing this time with us. All righty.
Thank you for having me.
We've been chatting with Sterling. Yeah. We've been chatting with Sterling Howell, who has been on Caribbean Princess, right? And he was one of those, one of the crew members, well, an entertainer from Trinidad and Tobago, who has been performing for the last 14 years, he says. And he was one of those who has been port hopping, trying to get back home. And we're happy to have you back. We're happy to have you back home. And I'd like to thank those of you who have joined my page as I continue on my quest to inspire, empower, and share joyful moments with you. If you've not yet joined, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is press like on the page, share it with your friends, and follow. Once again, let me thank our two guests who joined us today with their candid interviews. Gisele McFarlane, registered nurse and expert in emergency nursing at Kings County Hospital in New York, and to Sterling Howell, manager, musical director of the band Excite, as they face their ordeal, a month-long ordeal of anxiety on the seas, trying to get back into Trinidad while the pandemic grew and grew. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. I'll see you next week, Sunday, as we explore Mount St. Benedict and the St. John's area, the Abbey, everything about Mount St. Benedict right here in the hills just above St. Augustine in Trinidad. Join us then, 4 o'clock next week, Sunday. Thank you. I love you guys. God bless you. Bye-bye.